And then the other issue is, I thank the Prime Minister because based on the request WHO made, he accepted. And the request I made was based on international health regulation. And countries are expected to cooperate based on that international health regulation.
And the director of the WHO there, Tedros, saying that every country in the world is now expected to fall in line with his international health regulations due to the hantavirus. You can clearly see, with everything going on from the cruise ship to the stores, stockpiling toilet paper, and yes, that's happening in many stores out there, they're preparing here in America for like the release of an announcement connected to this, where people are going to go into some kind of panic mode because of the projected numbers they're pushing out there through the social media, and that this is deadly and carries a kill rate of like 38%. And that, well, it comes from rat urine and rat feces. Now, I shared with you guys before how the X-Files had telegraphed the hantavirus way far in the past. And here recently, when they discovered the dead body of Gene Hackman, what a name, right? What did she die from? Hantavirus. That's when this thing first was planted into the minds of the masses here recently, within recent time. And it kind of snowballed out from there. As you can see here, the meaning in Hebrew or Hungarian. Hanta can mean nonsense, lies, or a scam. Take your pick. You can see clearly what we're dealing with here at hand. I hope people have a plan for anything crazy that was to pop off and that you've learned from all the lockdown stuff and everything they put us through before. Because these guys are chomping at the bit to do something, and it looks like, here they go again. They're ready. When they're making statements like this, and like they're making moves globally on this, they're trying to take it serious. But the people, it's how they respond that says where this thing goes. If the people reject a bunch of their orders en masse, it will change things. But just remember this. They have wargamed this and beta tested this long enough. It seems they're ready to maybe deal something out there that has a lethality to it. That would be the next step. And let's just hope that this thing doesn't get out of control with these nutcases doing these things out there. But if you look on the back of a Lysol can and everything that it kills, and you look down through there, you'll see hantavirus listed there. But hey, just let you know, again, here they go. When they're making these statements and expecting the whole world to fall in line, it looks like the United States is pushing back or not moving in the manner that they'd like. But I'm going to tell you, they're pushing something, and it's obvious. Join me for the live show where I break this down further into greater detail. Going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of Rakak Wadash. This video here is from Breaking Points. This came out 3 hours ago. It says, hantavirus. We are not ready for new pandemic. So they're getting ready to pull this shit off again. Like Evil Bill said, we will have to prepare for the next one. The next one will get their attention this time. Remember?
This won't be the last pandemic that we face. You know, pandemics can come from natural causes, which is largely coming across from other species. You know, a flu, for example, is still a very big risk. And so we'll have to invest in making sure that we catch the disease sooner, and that we have platforms to make diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines very quickly. Very little was invested, even though there were these calls by a lot of people, including our foundation. One group that was funded, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, CEPI, CEPI, we, Wellcome Trust, Norway, UK, Japan were the initial funders, and that is helping out here. So we're better off than if that hadn't happened. But, you know, people trust government to think through these eventual bad things. This was a failure to get ready, and the cost would have been tiny compared to, say, what we spend on being ready for war. We didn't actually do the simulation to think about, okay, what about nursing homes? What about getting factories ready? What about the testing regime? You know, in fact, the testing could have been ramped up very quickly, and a few countries that had almost avoided the epidemic entirely, like Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, you know, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, you know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Look at that, man. That's the devil. It's the fucking devil, man. Right? Let's play it again.
Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, you know, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, you know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
See? This new demic, all right, that they're about to drop, okay, will get everybody's attention this time. Okay, they told you back during the C-19. So here we are. This is the devil. Never trust thy enemy, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, or Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 10. And it reads, it says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, right? Yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou should be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou should know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away, all right? Because you can't get rid of that rust, okay? Just like how Esau can't get rid of his wickedness, right? The scriptures say that his spirit is not upright in him, right? Habakkuk 2 and 4. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. You see? But the just shall live by his faith. Right. So he's a wicked man. All right. And you're supposed to take heed and beware of him, as we're reading, right? Verse 12, it says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Right. This is the damn devil, man. All right. He straight up told you that the next one, the next demic, will get everybody's attention this time, man. Okay. So these devils, they got all types of plagues, you know, in store, you know, waiting to unleash on the public, man. Okay. This man is diabolical. This is Proverbs 4 and 14. Proverbs 4 and 14 says, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it and pass away. For they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. This is the man of sin. Okay? He can't rest, he can't sleep unless he does some type of mischief, man. Okay? That's a real evil person. Okay? Verse 17, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. This is who he is, man. Okay? They're getting ready to lock this shit down. All right? as we saw in the beginning, the narrative is out there, man. Okay, the fear campaign has begun. All right, we're in the beginning stages until they start amplifying it more in the mainstream, and they bring back, who knows, they might bring back mask. All right, you know, you got to stand. What was it like last time? You got to stand 6 feet apart. You know, and this time when they do bring it, hey, people are not gonna go for that shit, man. So this could be the one where it totally breaks down society. All right, bring, you know, those uproars of the people, man. You see, Psalms 36:4. He deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. All right, that's Esau, man. So-called white man. NLT. Psalms 36:4. They lie awake at night, hatching sinful plots. Their actions are never good. They make no attempt to turn from evil. Man, look at his face. Look at the face. All right? Smiling at you, man. You know, the next one will get their attention. And they laughed about it, man. You see? Let's get into this, because it's getting ready to go down. All right, again, the hantavirus, we are not ready for new pandemic.
Crystal, let's start. We can play some of what it was looking like yesterday as people disembarked in Spain. That ship, obviously, where people have been quarantined for a really long time. This is D1. You'll be able to see it on the screen. And if you're listening to it, what you're seeing is the ship coming into port in Spain's Canary Islands, and people starting to disembark finally after, I believe they actually got on the ship on March 29th. I think that was the first day of travel in this ship, where the hantavirus was spreading. 3 deceased already in connection with it. So how significant is the hantavirus as another coronavirus? Let's dig into this a little bit and go to the president being asked recently if he was briefed on the hantavirus. This is going to be the next SOT. This is D2. Let's take a listen.
I'm also with ABC News. Can I ask you
Fake
about
news.
the hantavirus? Have you been briefed on the virus?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us what you've learned in these briefings?
Well, I
Should
think you're
Americans-
going to be told everything, and you already have. It's very much, we hope, under control. It was the ship, and I think we're going to make a full report about it tomorrow. We have a lot of people, a lot of great people are studying it. It should be fine. We hope.
Should Americans be concerned that it's going to spread? And how are they
I hope
going to
not.
get
I
those
mean, I hope
Americans
not. We'll do the best we can, yeah.
So let that pass.
There's the invocation of the word hope twice.
It should be fine. We hope.
Should Americans be concerned that it's going to spread? And how are they
I hope
going to
not.
get
I
those
mean, I hope
Americans
not. We'll do the best we can, yeah.
All right, so what you heard there is the invocation of the word hope twice. I hope not, hopefully under control. Let's take a listen to NIH.
Very confidence inspiring.
Yes, how can you not take that and run with it, Crystal? NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya, who actually was appointed to this position because of some of what I would argue his prescient work during the coronavirus pandemic. He is now the director of the NIH. Here is him on State of the Union with Jake Tapper, CNN yesterday, answering questions about the hantavirus.
I'm told that it can take up to 6 weeks for somebody who was exposed to hantavirus to begin to show symptoms. So that is about 4 weeks ago. So they're not technically out of the woods yet. There's still 2 weeks left. When did you begin monitoring these 7? Do any of them have any symptoms?
Well, I think it's, we first learned about the CDC roughly the time they started to come home. I think maybe 3 weeks ago. I'd have to look the exact dates up, Jake. But it's, I've been tracking the situation. The CDC teams have been tracking the situation for a while now. As I said, we're in close contact with the state and local public health agencies for protocols for managing these patients, including contact tracing, regular check-ins, symptoms checks. And if there's any like symptoms that develop, protocols for getting them to care rapidly and testing them. So it's been basically the whole time. I think it's been interesting to interesting to watch a lot of the thinking around this is colored, I think, by the COVID experience in the press. but the protocols that we have followed are more in line with the normal hantavirus protocols that, again, were followed in 2018 in the United States.
Well, unlike all the precautions we're seeing this morning, a few weeks ago when these 7 people flew home, they flew home with lots of other passengers. Has there been an effort to do contact tracing and let those other passengers know who interacted with those 7?
So those passengers, those passengers on the ship that flew home were not symptomatic when they flew home. So because the virus doesn't spread unless somebody has active symptoms, those passengers on the planes are considered contacts of contacts. So again, there's not a reason to do that kind of sort of recursive contact tracing, but you do want to make sure that you check them regularly so that they don't have if they develop symptoms or if there's other considerations, give them advice, especially if they're to reduce their contacts with others when it's appropriate to do so.
Crystal, reaction to
this is the same, the same play they ran before. All right, the same narrative, the same talking points, right? Come on, man. All right, this is Micah 2:1, and it reads, it says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." All right, this is the elites. All right, the international banking families. All right, the Edomites. Okay, NLT. "What sorrow," hey, check that out, "judgment against wealthy oppressors." Ooh, man. And we're being oppressed by the rich elite, the wealthy elite. Okay? It says, NLT, Micah 2:1, "What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans. You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so." Yeah, this is them. Okay?
Trump and Jay Bhattacharya there, they are going to get more. I mean, so right now, we just put this New York Times tear sheet up on the screen, the next element. Right now, what we have is U.S. passengers who were aboard the ship. They're disembarking, and as we just saw, they are now going to be quarantined at a center in Nebraska. So they're being transported to this center in Nebraska. These are the American citizens who had been aboard the ship. And the next element here, NBC News, 7 states are preparing to receive Americans possibly exposed to the hantavirus. So the, quote, U.S. has entered emergency response mode as a cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak sails toward one of Spain's Canary Islands. Of the 150 passengers on board, 17 of them are Americans, and 7 states are preparing their emergency response for people who are potentially exposed to this to return home, and to also just tracking the spread where this could have already gone in the United States based on that incubation period Tapper was referring to of apparently up to 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and some American passengers disembarked along with others on April 24th. So states like Georgia, Texas, they're monitoring 2 residents who were on the ship. Arizona and Virginia each have 1 resident who disembarked that ship on the 24th. California as well, there's 1 California resident who is on board the ship. New Jersey has 2 residents who were not on the ship but could have been exposed to an infected person. Texas as well has residents who were on board that they are monitoring. So potentially a rather dangerous situation, Crystal, but the World Health Organization, just before I'll toss it to you after we listen to a WHO outbreak expert here from the World Health Organization who says this is different from coronavirus. D4.
I got to post something, Rob.
Yep, here we go again. Let's let this pass. All right. We close.
This is not coronavirus. This is a very different virus. We know this virus. Hantaviruses have been around for quite a while. There's a lot of detail that we know. I'm going to ask Anais to come in and say this, but I want to be unequivocal here. This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. There's a confined area. We have 5 confirmed cases so far. We completely understand why these questions are coming, and we are trying to provide all of the information that we can. That's why we're having a press conference here to give accurate information, and we're grateful for all of those out there who are asking these types of questions. But this is not the same situation we were in 6 years ago.
Bullshit. All right. The next one will get everybody's attention. All right. This is why people are talking about it, because they know, everybody knows it's bullshit. All right. We live in a time where, things are getting exposed. All right. The truth is coming out and people are hip. All right. So I guarantee once they try to, lock it down, there's going to be a lot of resistance, man. Okay. Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, man. Okay, it's coming, right? I saw something here I wanted to check out too. Right? It said something about U.S. quarantine centers activated for hantavirus monitoring. Check this out. They got the camps ready,
From Alabama, and she's talking and actually sent a bunch of us to the website from her words early on, moms.gov. It's really laid out nicely with a lot of good information for both new moms, pregnant moms, and those who want to be. I want to bring in focus now, Dr. Mark Siegel to react to some of this. Fox News senior medical analyst, NYU Langone professor of medicine, and author of the new book, The Miracles Among Us bestseller. We will go back to the president once he starts taking some questions. I wanted to pull out just for a moment because I know you are hot on this issue. Get your top line thoughts.
Well, first of all, Dorothy Fink, who the president just referred to, I've known for many years, Harris. She's a great reproductive endocrinologist, a career scientist, and she's the head of women's health at HHS. And she's the one that was behind the whole thing of let's get hormone replacement therapy back for menopausal women, and I champion that. And moms.gov is specifically about women that are having difficult pregnancies, who are saying, they don't have the resources. Where do we go? What do we do? Who do we talk to? And the idea of increasing information and resources.
17 Americans and 1 British citizen have now reached the U.S. soil, and they were on that cruise ship. A couple have now been taken to, and I don't want to say a couple like they knew each other because HIPAA laws require that we don't know that much detail, but 2 of those original 18 have gone to Emory University. 15 of them are at Nebraska University Medical. And then 1 was taken to the biocontainment unit in Nebraska as well. First of all, why the different places as you've ascertained? I know you've been talking to the World Health Organization too.
I have, and I've been talking to CDC as well, and I've been talking to Nebraska. And let me explain something that none of our viewers know yet. There's a triumvirate in the United States of 3 major quarantine centers. One is Nebraska, one is Emory, and the other is Bellevue at NYU. And they all talk all the time. So if they're moving people from Nebraska to Emory, that's not a big deal. That's like we're partners anyway. Let's go to your quarantine center because we don't have exactly the amount of room. I've been inside these quarantine centers at Nebraska, and they're really isolated. And the other thing they can do there, and they're really good at this, and I saw it during COVID, is they study the virus. I remember them saying to me, why do we have to send the samples to CDC? We can analyze it right here. They've got everything they could possibly need to check on how something's transmitted. And I also want the public to know there's no sense that anything has changed. I mean, we saw 100 cases out of Argentina this past year, which is more than we usually see, but that's because rodents have migrated up to the north. It's not because of human-to-human transmission. Human-to-human transmission is really rare. And Harris, here's a point I haven't made to you yet. I don't know what this boat was doing floating around for a month, because if you have people on this boat in close quarters, that's why you might see more cases occurring.
Yeah. So, again, you can watch all of that. You see it's all in the headlines. Fox News, CNN, all right? They're pushing it mainstream. All right, same thing that happened during the C-19. All right, so yeah, the party is pretty much over. Okay? It's getting ready to go down. All right, Revelation 6 and 8. And it reads, it says, and I looked. Let's start up a little bit. Revelation 6 and 7. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, all right, which is Esau's realm, Esau's earth, his dominion, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth, right? So it's different, forms of death that are going to play out here, man. And as it's been brought out, they're saying that this Hanta thing is a side effect of the C19. Okay. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, and this is where we at. The beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Right? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are set as scourges for amendment. Right? These are the punishments, the judgments of the Lord. But for all these things, they shall not turn from the wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, right? Because people are really not paying attention. I mean, you got people that, that are seeing what's going on, but you still have the majority of the people out here that are asleep. All right? As these judgments are getting ready to play out on the earth. Verse 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sore famine and great confusion. There you go. Like I said, the party is over, man. All right, this is from The Guardian. It says, spiritless summer. Americans feel squeeze of costly fuel amid busy travel season. All right, niggas ain't going nowhere, man. All right. The way things are priced, the price of living, and they're running out of fuel for the planes, and people don't have money for gas. All right, it's a done deal, right? Let me get that in Isaiah 24. All right, they're preparing to lock people down all over again. All right, Isaiah 24 and verse 11. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is dark and the mirth of the land is gone. It's a done deal, man. All right, you got nuclear war on the table. You got this new virus. All right, you got economic turmoil. All right, people are broke, crashing out. Okay, so many different things. Like I said, the Lord is literally plaguing these American people. All right, so again, the mirth of the land is gone. All right, lockdowns. Okay, civil unrest. Right. NLT, verse 11, Isaiah 24 and 11, NLT, mobs gather in the streets, crying out for wine. Joy has turned to gloom. Gladness has been banished from the land. All right, so this is where we at, man. Okay, another point from Washington Post. Iran war is crushing Asia's farmers, threatening global food supply. Prices of fuel and fertilizer are pushing farmers to make irreversible cuts as they enter key planting seasons, right? Famines, food shortages, everything, man. All right, so the mirth of the land is gone. It's over, right? But again, like Evil Bill said, all right, the next one will get everybody's attention this time. You see? So it's getting ready to go. Shalom.